Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to another edition of SoulsBorne Battle to the Death. We're going to pick two random SoulsBorne bosses, and then they will do a handstand, and whoever holds their handstand the longest will be the winner. Some of these bosses don't even have hands, so I may or may not have to amend the rules and see what happens. I don't know. Sometimes I don't think these things out before I decide what these battles are going to be. So I'm not always the fairest fight promoter, I guess. I don't know. But whatever. All right. Over in the red corner in this particular battle to the death, we have the Fire Giant from Elden Ring. Ooh, boy. This is, I mean, there are definitely some tough bosses before the Fire Giant, but this is really, I think, where the game, like, kind of really lets you know it's not fucking around. That's just what I think, anyway. But, it's I think one of the biggest boss arenas I've probably ever seen. Yeah, he is something else, the Fire Giant. Especially that second stage. Yeesh. I don't want to give anything away. Certain viewers of my content have not played Elden Ring, so actually they probably wouldn't even be watching this one if the Fire Giant's involved. But yeah, Fire Giant is he's something. He's a force to be reckoned with. That is for damn sure. All right. We're going to take this wheel for another spin. The Fire Giant can do a handstand. He does have two hands, so he is eligible for this handstand competition that I have put together. So I guess that's a plus. I guess we can appreciate that this one boss that I have selected for this fight, can do, is capable of the parameters that I have set for this particular battle. All right, over in the red corner, we have the Fire Giant. And in the other corner, in the blue corner, we have Soul of Cinder from Dark Souls 3. Ooh, boy. That is certainly an interesting fight. Ooh, boy. I'm running over that fight in my head, and part of me really wants to go one way, but I'm not allowed to. Give away what that is in this section of the program. I am contractually obligated to go to bios, so I guess with that, we are going to go to our contractually obligated bios, and let's have a look at the Fire Giant. So, in the world of Elden Ring, long before the Erd Tree came into existence, the Giants chased the ice dragons out of the mountains to the north and made that their home. And there they worshipped the Fell God and were bound to tend the flame of that god for all eternity. Before Queen Marika came to create the Erd Tree, she had her then-husband Godfrey attack the Giants, fearing that their fire would harm the Erd Tree. The Giants borrowed the power of their fell god, and Godfrey and Marika still beat them, which means, or at least it tells me, that their fell god was a bitch. Marika left one single Fire Giant alive, scared that the flame would harm the Erd Tree, so that giant was cursed to forever tend the flame so that this would not happen. And during this time, the Fire Giant had to craft a leg brace for a wound on its left leg. As is generally the case in these games, all seems to be going well until you show up and screw everything up and just, cause chaos everywhere and just kill everybody. I think it goes without saying that even just in the name, that the Fire Giant is a colossal enemy and is capable of doing a lot of things that will make you say, ow. I think when you go through that fog door and you see the fire giant in the distance. I think it's a very formidable sight and a very foreboding sight, and it's certainly something to behold. The fight against him is definitely one to remember, I think, and that's saying something in a world of very memorable fights. I'm not saying just Elden Ring, just everywhere in SoulsBorne games. The fire giant does stand out, and I think it stands out because it's a little bit different. Just in terms of what you're facing and what happens actually in the fight, which I don't want to give anything away, but although I probably have over the course of, the video clips I've shown, but yeah, the fire giant I think is certainly one to remember, and I don't envy anyone that has to stand across the field of battle against the fire giant for sure. There isn't a ton in the way of lore on Soul of Cinder, and the reason for that is because Soul of Cinder is a deific manifestation of everyone who has ever linked the flame in the Dark Souls world. So Soul of Cinder is actually a lot of things, and over the course of at least the first phase of the fight, you see that it can. I don't want to use the word phases because that kind of means something else in the gaming world, but it switches to different forms. It has a magic form, it has a great sword form, and a spear form, and pyromancer form. So it fights in a lot of different ways because it's channeling all the different people that have linked the flame before it. So Soul of Cinder is certainly a different kind of fight rather than anything else in Dark Souls or any other SoulsBorne game. You're fighting a lot of different things at once, so you really gotta kind of be prepared for anything. It does, however, exist as the last line of defense inside the kiln of the first flame, protecting it against anyone who would link it again, or acting as an ultimate test of strength. However, when you do get past that first phase and deal with all the the different forms that you have to defeat in order to get to that next phase, it does basically take the form, not so much in physical appearance, but it does do it becomes Lord Gwyn, kind of, basically, from the first Dark Souls game. So that's basically what you end up fighting at the very end there. So it's a callback, and the music kind of calls back to that as well. So for Dark Souls fans, that's a very cool remembrance of a well-known and memorable time in Dark Souls lore. Soul of Cinder is very interesting. I think that I think what's interesting about him is that he is the final boss of Dark Souls 3, but I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that Soul of Cinder is the hardest boss in the entire game, and I have not said that myself either. A lot of people talk about the Nameless King, the Twin Princes, Sister Frida. I've said all three of those names. And speaking of the toughest bosses in Dark Souls, Soul of Cinder is not among that list, but Soul of Cinder is a force to be reckoned with in its own right. You don't really, you can't really play around with it either. It's gonna make you pay if you do so. Soul of Cinder is memorable as as a final boss. He serves his purpose and he is where he should be. So I guess that's really all you can say about that. I mean, it's not a joke. It's not a joke fight. It's certainly a fight you're gonna have to work for to get past. So yeah, Soul of Cinder belongs where he is, and yeah, it's not a fight to take lightly or look past. That's for sure. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I'm having a really tough time with this one. Conventional wisdom and common sense kind of dictates that the fire giant would easily win this fight. And that's probably true. like I said, though, Soul Cinder is not a joke. And if you're taking... I mean, both of them are fire-type bosses, so... I mean, that's not really a factor in this fight. If you're taking into account strength and, I don't know, hit points, once again, we're trying to look at them at the same level. And it's kind of funny to say, considering Soul Cinder is the final boss in Dark Souls 3. And Fire Giant is, I mean, pretty close to the end, but not really. I think he's like a little more than halfway through, maybe. Close to 3/4, I'm not sure, but yeah, I think this is a tough one to call. I honestly think this is a tough one to call, because Soul Cinder is powerful and can close distance pretty quickly, and we know the Fire Giant has long distance attacks and is very, very strong. Boy, I am really, really struggling here, but if I look at it really closely, and if I just talk straight about health bars, Soul Cinder, I don't know the numbers, okay? I don't know the actual numbers of how much health they actually have. Soul Cinder does not seem to me to have a giant health bar. He does have 2 of them, but Fire Giant, really, I mean, unless you're really built up and, you know, have an over-leveled type character, it kind of takes a little bit to chip through that health bar. So I think I kind of got to give the edge to the Fire Giant. This is really one of the toughest ones I've had to judge for a while, I think. I think I got to give the slight edge to the Fire Giant. But like I said, if you're gonna decide, if you think Soul Cinder would win, then, you know, I'm not gonna argue with you. You know, I think this is a really tough one to call either way, but I think I have to give the edge to the Fire Giant. But that is just my opinion. Feel free to leave yours in the comments. And with that, I'm gonna bring this very, I think, interesting episode of SoulsBorne Battle to the Death to a close. RobertBlanchardBooks.com. If you're interested in the Roar of a Dragon series, you can read the first 3 chapters of each book there for free. If you'd like to hear more about them, the Rise of Dragons podcast, wherever you find your favorite podcasts. My Linktree, my Instagram, my Twitter are all Bobby's World 2110. The Elden Ring No Crimson Flask Volume 1 Limgrave run is ongoing as we speak. Episode 3 just went up. We did a little more exploring, and we met some new friends. So we're seeing what's going on there, getting ready to go into Stormvale Castle, but we got a few loose ends to tie up first. So, and thank you for all the support on episode 2. That episode saw a pretty sizable uptick in views that I noticed. So I appreciate that very much, and I hope you guys enjoy the content. That was an interesting episode too. You can just see that in the thumbnail. And that is on Mondays, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as always, and on Wednesdays, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, easy for me to say, is SoulsBorne Battle to the Death, as always. And it is always a fun time over here, trying to see what fights we can come up with, and who would probably win those fights in our opinion. So, yeah, there is a never-ending list of possibilities over here. So, yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying the content. Leave a like, subscribe, notifications, and all that junk. I hope you guys have a great week. I appreciate the love and support. I love you guys. And be well, stay safe, and as always, it's Bobby's World, and you're all just living in it. See, I'll see you for live, y'all. Bye! What's going on, guys? Thank you for checking out the video today, but I got a question for you. Did you know I wrote a book? Did you know I wrote 3 books? Did you know that they're all part of the same series? The Roar of a Dragon, The Treachery of a Weasel, and The Cry of a Raven. ReadersFavorite.com says that its intensity rivals that of the Game of Thrones series. Now, I personally think that's crazy, but it's not for me to judge. It's for you to judge. Go to RobertBlanchardBooks.com and you can check out the books right now. But wait, that's not all. All 3 books got 5-star reviews in ReadersFavorite.com. These books won the silver medal in the Literary Titan Awards. The Cry of a Raven won silver at the Global eBook Awards.
So what are you waiting for? Read about Aiden's dream to become a Knight of Delmar. Read about his death and resurrection. Oops, I gave that away, didn't I? And read about his journey back home from 3,000 years in the future to stop the evil that started in Delmar. Go to robertblanchardbooks.com. You can read the first 3 chapters of each book there for free. And then, if you're interested, you can buy the books there as well. And if you've already read the books or you just want to hear more about them, you can check out the Rise of Dragons podcast. You can listen to it wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And in every episode, I cover a character from the book, an event from the book, my journey into writing, and everything in between. Ripley, what do you got to say about all this?
Give me a treat or I will end you.
You know she's telling you to check out the books. Go to robertblanchardbooks.com to check out the books or listen to the Rise of Dragons podcast if you want to hear about them. That's all I got to say, and thank you for watching this video.